it's very evident that the world of work has changed a whole lot in the last few years. And we've all had to, make changes as we've gone along. And I'll talk about changes in three key areas. First, when it comes to recruitment, how have we survived this bit? Because the business itself took a hit in terms of trainings being cancelled, recruitment requests going down, etc. We've had to also slow down on growing the team because financially it would have been more difficult. And so in terms of its impact on us as a firm, just keeping the team that we had and then trying to cushion employees as we navigated that period. In terms of recruitment practice for us, it's meant the use of technology. I think technology has been the I wouldn't say new foundation, but the new pivot around which we've built the business. And so doing more virtual interviews, I still think there's a lot of value in person. You see the person, the body language, you can engage differently, so it's meant switching to more virtual engagements, virtual interviews, online assessments, etc. And it has the advantages. And sometimes you still want to see the person in person and engage. So it's a change that gives us the opportunity to have a hybrid system, and then that works so that for convenience, for cost considerations, etc., you have your virtual interviews, virtual screening, assessments, etc., and then where you can, you do in person. With regard to performance management, that has not been easy. And where you have, your teams, your team is performing and are used to sitting in the same room, having conversations, being productive together as opposed to being productive alone. And for us, how we've handled that is, again, back to technology and using tools like Trello a lot more comfortably, a lot more often, and using more technology tools to engage, to be able to track and see who is doing what, who needs what support, and then being able to check in on each other and maintain a certain level of performance and productivity. So it's not been easy in that area. I know that there are firms with VPNs and there are firms that monitor and count keystrokes and exactly what you're doing. We haven't done that where we're doing close monitoring of everything that employees are doing, because you also want to build a little trust in employees. It doesn't change the fact that some people will always have distractions at home, which begins to affect productivity and performance. You may have people who are junior members of their family, and so they may get asked to do different things on behalf of the family. You have others who are primary caregivers and have to, balance the work time with family time. So in terms of performance, that hasn't been easy to track and monitor and make sure that everybody is doing what they need to do. We cut down on our work days, from 5 full working days to 3 days from home and 3 days in the office and 3 days from home, and mixed results, So on one hand, it's worked very well in terms of flexibility for employees. On the other hand, it's also been a little difficult because sometimes the network challenges, you're calling somebody, you can't find them, we're online for a call and somebody's internet or even electricity may go off, and then it becomes difficult to connect and then to get the work done. So it's not been easy, but we've managed to still make sure that we're keeping everybody connected through technology so that we see updates on what people are working on, so that productivity doesn't go down too badly. And then lastly, I think the biggest shift has been, the biggest learnings and insights have been in in organizational culture. There are many companies that shifted from working in person to working virtually, and who adopted that model and said, that's how we're going to do it going forward. And much as it makes sense cost-wise, etc. On the org culture front, I think that's the area with the most impact, especially if you have a young organization or you have a team with a lot of new people. When there's a lot of working from home as a result of all the adjustments we made with the pandemic, you have people working at home the way they choose to, as opposed to being able to help people to internalize how we all have to work together, engage, get productive together, perform together. These are our norms, the way we celebrate birthdays, the way we engage, the conversations, learning more about each other. That becomes quite hampered. And so if there's any area where the impact has been felt is all culture. So that the culture you'd see before the pandemic is one with cohesion, a lot of engagement. And what you may see now is one where there are more silos. And what it means for us as HR leaders is the need to be very, very intentional. Intentional about building org culture, intentional about getting all our colleagues, all our team members, everybody to be intentional about, time together, time in conversations, open communication, not working in silos, learning to engage, seeking help, asking questions, etc. And being intentional about what we do, how we do it, when we do it, how we engage. I think that's one of the most critical things. So I guess one last word in there is, as we adjust and we shift with post-pandemic, HR function and setup, it's very important to realize that we can't substitute organizational culture with just leaving things to be. It's like cultivating a garden versus leaving the garden to grow and then weeds coming in there. We need to be intentional, cultivate the organizational culture, determine how you want the norms to be, who you want engaging with whom, how, all the various ways, how we speak, our work attitude, work ethic, how we engage clients, how we talk to each other, all those things. Let's be intentional. Let's document. Let's remind people. Let's emulate it and be very intentional about building org culture. Otherwise, the downside is we're all working in our silos. There's no coherence in how we do things, and it begins to eat into productivity, performance, and even integrity of the firm. So those are my words on how the pandemic has affected the work that we do in the HR function in itself.